Hi, I'm Felice Shapiro, publisher of Better After 50, and I feel very honored to be speaking to Dr. Claudia Levine, who we will not call doctor from now on because we're going to call her Claudia. And she is the founder of MenopauseJewelbox.com. And I would love her to tell you a little bit about that. The name is so intriguing. It's a conversation opener to be sure. So Claudia, let's hear a little bit about Menopause Jewelbox. What are you doing with that? What is it?
Well, first of all, thank you, Felice. It is so lovely to be here.
Yeah.
And I will tell you all about it. So, Menopause Jewel Box was started with my own experience. So, I am a internal medicine physician by training, and I practice clinical medicine and take care of women perimenopause through their menopausal transition into their postmenopausal years. And when I was in my mid 40s, my body started to change in sort of strange and mysterious ways. And I did not attribute those changes to hormonal shifts because they weren't really the obvious hot flashes, night sweats, mood, sleep. My period was rock solid. So I was like, something else is going on. And it took about a year with conversation with my own primary care provider, my husband, who's a physician, my friends who are healthcare providers, to have this real aha moment of, oh, this is the beginning of my experience with perimenopause. And that was what was going on. And when I realized that, it was such a relief to know, okay, like things are changing, but I'm not dying. And wow, what a terrible job I am doing as a healthcare provider. And I thought I was doing a pretty good job. And I probably was doing a pretty good job compared to many because we don't get great training in general as healthcare providers in the realm of perimenopausal and menopausal care. So I was just kind of floored by my own experience and my experience as a provider. So I turned to my dear friend and my colleague, Kate McLaughlin, who I work with, and said, hey, Kate, like, let's figure out how to do this better. Let's address this issue of women not getting the guidance that they need, the education they need, and helping women connect to the resources that are available to them so they do not have to suffer, both with wondering what's going on and also through symptoms that are manageable much of the time. And also a time when we really need to think about other health issues that arise in our 40s and our 50s and are with us for the rest of our lives. And when we
Yes.
don't know about those things, we don't have the opportunity to optimize it. So that's really what we created.
That sounds like a fantastic educational tool. And I know our readers will be clicking on the link to see what you're offering in terms of workshops and learning opportunities. I know for myself, um, I totally missed out on that education as much as I adored my GP.
Mhm.
I never even had a GYN after in my 50s. So everything was done with my general practitioner. And even though she's a woman, we really didn't talk about HRT. We didn't talk about a lot of, uh, I was researching like crazy to learn about what to do about mood swings. And people were talking about bioidenticals. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And it was just words were being thrown out. I didn't
Yeah.
understand them.
Yeah, there's so many words that are really both sort of hot button, let me sell you something words. And then there are
Yeah.
words that are let me scare you words. And there aren't as much empowering, hey, like this is an expected biological process and let's prepare, like let's get prepared and let's feel confident as we navigate it because we can. And when we have the education, it doesn't make everything like magically get better. And there is no magic solution to managing this time, but there are absolutely ways to manage it. And there's a lot out there that's really awesome that you have to kind of go into that rabbit hole and dig to find it. So that's also why we created Jewelbox. It's the foundational education so you know what's going on. And then we really wanted to vet resources for women through the lens of our experience as evidence-based providers and people who have a lot of experience reading medical research and kind of digging into like what are you really selling and what's
Yes.
actual potential benefit and potential harm in what you're offering.
So let's be specific now because our readers would definitely like a few pearls to come away from, a few jewels in your language to walk away from this interview with, understanding the framework that you're offering. That's terrific. I'd like to ask you a little bit about, I don't know if you can do a little bit or a lot of bit. Can you give us a short synopsis of what you are supposed to do if you feel that if you're suffering from dryness, the dry vagina issue, which is such a topic on our site. It gets clicked on like crazy, and I feel that we're going in a lot of different directions.
Mhm. That's a great question. So basically what happens as we enter into later perimenopause. So perimenopause is just the transition to a new lower hormonal balance. Menopause is 12 months, no menstrual cycle. And then the rest of your life is your postmenopausal life. But you can use menopause, postmenopause, doesn't really matter. But what happens is that as our estrogen levels decline, and that is what happens, they kind of go from here down to this new balance. And because the tissue in our vagina, which is like inside our body, our vulva, which is outside of our body, our bladder, our urethra, which is the tube we pee through, and then all of the pelvic floor muscles, all of those tissues are super sensitive to estrogen. So when estrogen levels drop, that tissue changes, the actual architecture of the tissue changes. And that's what often is leading to the dryness and the irritation, maybe pain with sex. That's all happening in large part because of estrogen. So first, just knowing that, just like recognizing, it is so common, almost, 70% of women will experience it to some extent. It's not reversible if you don't do anything about it. So if you just are dry and irritated and you don't know what to do, you probably will continue to get drier and more irritated. But there
So
are,
there's something you can do. This is good.
yeah, sorry, I'm an educator, so I have to educate first.
No, it's good. I'm just putting a bullet point in it. It's great.
Yeah, you absolutely have to know. And sometimes you need to have an exam to check out what's going on, but a lot of times you can try things at home before you need to actually go see someone. Because if it works, then you're done. You don't need to go see someone. So the first starting point is a moisturizer. So just like you might moisturize your face or the skin on your body, you're using a moisturizer to maintain that moisture balance in the tissue and to give it back some of the stuff that it's missing and to help it along as it doesn't have the estrogen there. And that's something you can buy online in the drugstore. There are tons of products out there. You can use
Can you
coconut.
name one? Can you
So
name one?
yeah, absolutely. You can use coconut oil first off. So you can go to the grocery store and buy coconut oil that you would eat, same product.
Mhm.
We love Trader Joe's organic coconut oil because it's a pretty inexpensive option and it's just readily available. And then one of the companies that we really love is called Ah Yes. They sell a bunch of different products and
AAAH.
AHYES. You can get that
Uh-huh.
online. That would then there's also Replens, which is a common sort of drugstore brand that you can pick up in the drugstore. It's Replens. But there are
Are you
tons of
familiar with Kindra?
absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
this is a good
Because
point.
Kendra's been involved with BA50, so I'm not promoting, I'm not
Yeah.
pushing it for that reason, but it's great to know that it's on
And
your list as well.
And I think the point would be we don't have like a favorite moisturizer at Jewelbox where we're going to say this is absolutely the one you need to buy. And we have no financial ties to anything that we recommend because we want to remain unbiased. But
Mhm.
truly, there are tons of great products out there. And what we recommend is find one that works, find one you
Right,
like, play around with it, use it at least twice a week. You can also use it every day. If it
right.
starts to irritate you in any way, stop it and try another one. And if in 2 to 4 weeks you're not feeling better, that's a good time to check in with your provider because that's a good time to consider adding in estrogen. If the moisturizer is not working, you can use a topical estrogen in addition to a moisturizer. And even if you're a woman who unfortunately has experienced breast cancer, chances are you too can use a topical estrogen safely. And that's really the mainstay treatment is moisturizers and topical estrogen to address it
Is
to start.
is the coconut oil, the Replens,
Mhm.
the Kindra are not topical estrogens,
They
or
are
they are?
they are
They
non-estrogen moisturizers. Yeah,
okay, so you can start with that, and
absolutely.
then you can move to an estrogen, a topical estrogen, which is also over the counter or no?
That requires a prescription. Um,
Okay,
Generally speaking, there are places where you can kind of get pretty much anything you want online, but I generally recommend working with a provider if you're going to use a topical estrogen. But the moisturizers you can buy without a visit with a provider or a prescription.
right,
And then the
okay.
estrogen you do, and estrogen is also often paid for by insurance. So it's really expensive if you pay for it out of pocket, but if you have insurance, chances are you can get it covered by your insurance. So that's a good thing to
Okay.
know as well.
Okay, great. And so we've gotten to the point now in this conversation where we might be visiting GYN
Mhm.
or GP, both, either.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, because you are a GP, so they visited you, they'd be getting all this, which is
Yeah.
great. Um, and they're now presented with some information beyond what you've just said. And
Mhm.
what are they learning now?
There's, at this point, if you're using a moisturizer and you're using an estrogen and it's not helping at all, then you're really going to do an exam and look and see, is there something else going on that is impacting the tissue in a different way? So that's kind of the key is if you're not responding to the moisturizer, that's when you want to be evaluated. The other things you can add in are sometimes systemic estrogen. So, estrogen that you're going to take that's going to circulate more widely through the body, in addition to a topical. Some women do need
Mhm.
the extra estrogen to help replenish the tissue. You can also use or add in a topical testosterone cream. So, that can be an addition. And then there's another cream called DHEA, which can be added in, and it kind of converts to testosterone and estrogen. So those are other topical medications that your prescriber could offer that you can use in addition to. And
And
then
you're
there's
not going to grow hair out of the middle of your forehead if you take
you're
this?
not- no, this testosterone is definitely not going to alter the rest of your body, and it's not likely to cause any side effects at all.
And it's we're still back to replenishing the skin,
Yeah.
not necessarily the libido.
Right. So libido is a bigger topic with a
We're
lot.
going to talk about
Yeah,
that in another interview. That will be great. But
that's definitely a bigger
okay, I just want to see when we hear testosterone, it's a little bit of a what's going on? What's going to happen
We
here?
we actually just wrote a newsletter on when to consider testosterone therapy, and if your readers are interested in that, we can share a link as well, because that really goes through a lot of the more details and questions that women have about, can I
Great.
use testosterone?
Okay. And is the E ring part of that systemic estrogen
So the
prescription? That
so the E string, which
E
is
string,
E string is an insert, and that's actually
right?
a topical estrogen. So you can the forms of topical estrogen can be an insert, so something you're putting inside the vagina that's locally releasing
Mhm.
estrogen to that tissue. You can also use a cream, and there's different types of applicators and ways to kind of get it where it needs to go. But there are different ways to use it, but they're all considered topical or locally acting estrogen.
Okay. Well, that is a lot of
Yeah.
information. And I have,
Everybody had that information. I just wish that was like, you turn a certain age and it's like, heads up, if you get dry or irritated, do something about it.
okay. Well, people who become 50 will hear this on Better After 50, and we have 115,000 followers right now. So that's great. So maybe we'll get this word out, but there's
How's that?
millions of us out there with just a, a little
There
stab in the,
there are millions of us, and I'm
yeah.
50 in March, so I will, I can officially join your community in March.
Yeah, we'll let you. You're in. Don't worry.
Okay.
Uh, so there is conversation about missing the window of getting estrogen. So
Yeah.
10 years postmenopausal is what I've been hearing. People who want estrogen or think they should have it because of bone health or improvement to memory and growth of better for skin and all that. Like,
Yeah.
now what we didn't get this information early enough and
Yeah.
we missed it. What happened here?
So, I mean, I think the messaging around hormone therapy, and when we're talking about what you're talking about, we're talking about systemic hormone therapy. So, therapy that's hitting every receptor from your head to your toe that's responding to estrogen. And that's a much bigger kind of question topic, but definitely the goal is to have that window of opportunity when you're using it, which usually is beginning in like late perimenopause or mid perimenopause when you're really symptomatic, and then using it for as long as you need it to get through the transition with it in mind that you're going to use it for less than 10 years and before the age of 60. Those are the rough guidelines for when we consider it.
Mhm,
So if someone
mhm.
is 60 and they come to me and they've never been on systemic therapy, it's generally not something I would start. But there are rare exceptions where someone is just like miserable with hot flashes or night sweats. And
Mhm.
yes, you missed the opportunity, but maybe it's something worth considering. But generally, you're not going to use it for bone health or your skin or your hair or to feel just more energized because it's not likely to really benefit you at that point.
Ah, that's very important information. I've been hearing different things on that. So great. So you
There's
didn't miss the
there's
opportunity to improve
yeah,
your mind
no.
or no,
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, we have evidence around the link between estrogen and cognitive function, but it's not robust and it's not absolutely clear that we are all missing out. And the general recommendation from major society guidelines is not that every woman should get estrogen because
Right.
we don't have that data that really supports we all need it until we're 60 or beyond.
Okay, this is terrific. This is terrific, Claudia. I am um, impressed with your knowledge and your delivery is fantastic. So we will happily direct our readers to your link, your workshops, your information. Love you to share your newsletter with us and continue to educate our audience. Every Monday is Healthy Monday, and we're just thrilled you're part of a part of helping us learn about our bodies ourselves, really.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It is a total pleasure, and I'm happy to come back. I love talking about this stuff. So, and spreading the word of what's going on and what to do about it.
Thank you.